everybody, thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in this video we're going to be talking about Men in Black International. So Men in Black International is the fourth film in the Men in Black franchise and is also kind of a soft reboot of the franchise. There's literally only one scene that actually connects it to the previous films, but it does exist in a world where the first three films did take place. And yeah, right out of the gate, I'll go ahead and say that I heard a lot of negative about this film going into it, or just a lot of lackluster things about it. And leading up to it, I wasn't super excited, but I really wanted to see it because I am a big fan of the first three. The first one is my favorite. I think that's usually the case for most people. But the second and third film are a lot of fun for me. I really enjoy Will Smith in those films, as well as Tommy Lee Jones, and I just really enjoy the overall, just the world of Men in Black. I enjoy how silly and fun they can be, as well as how grounded they can be at times. But really, just for me, they're just fun sci-fi fantasy films that for me don't take themselves too seriously, and I've always find them to be just fun, enjoyable sci-fi films. So I was a little worried leading up to this one, even though the trailers did seem like a good time and right in line with the Men in Black. And what I can say right out of the gate, when I'm gonna go ahead and start with my positives, is the fact that I really enjoyed the look of this film. I really enjoyed the new creatures, the new alien designs. I really like what they were able to do with the overall world and expanding it, showing us a different side of the Men in Black. So just visually, I really enjoyed the CGI. I enjoyed how cartoony they left it, while also, you know, giving it a new feel and a new kind of skin to it all. But I really enjoyed that they kind of retained that over-the-top, cheesy cartooniness about the aliens, because again, these films don't take themselves too seriously, and I've always enjoyed that about these films. You know, it's always nice sometimes to be able to watch a blockbuster film like this that doesn't really, again, doesn't take itself too seriously, knows what it is, knows what the audience is in for. And for me, it gave me those kind of things. It delivered on being just a fun sci-fi, you know, film to just put on. Now, I mentioned just to put on because it's not a film that I would say right now, in just this huge market of films coming out now in 2019, I don't feel like it's a film that's absolutely necessary to watch. I don't feel like it's a film that you need to go to the theaters and go and pay prices for. You know, if you're watching this and you have a family and you have, you know, you maybe want to take your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever, and you're thinking to yourself, am I going to shell out, you know, the 15 to 20 bucks, if not more, depending on how many people are with you, if you get snacks, all that kind of stuff. And even for some of you who don't get to go out to the movies often, is this the film for you to go watch in theaters, you know, with all the other films that are in theaters right now, or even some of the films that are coming out just in a couple weeks? As a fan of Men in Black, I did enjoy this film. You know, I grew up, like I said, loving the first three. They're very nostalgic for me. I also grew up in Florida, and at Universal Studios, they have a ride there. So Men in Black has just been one of those films that I remember rewatching a lot as a kid, and I always really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being able to watch it. Thank God for AMC A-List. But yeah, when it really comes down to it, I don't think this is the film that's in the theater that you need to go watch right now. I think this is a film that you would really enjoy watching on Netflix, Hulu, or some other streaming service, maybe a Redbox rental. But, you know, compared to some of the other films that are in theaters right now, like Spider-Man Far From Home, Toy Story 4, even the Aladdin remake, and even with films like the Lion King remake that are coming out in just a couple weeks, I would say if you really have to save your money and you're really just kind of being a little bit more picky-choosy with being able to go see a film in theaters, I don't think this is the one that you need to go see. Though I did enjoy it, and there's a lot about the film visually that just is a spectacle, and I really enjoyed those elements of the film. So this film stars Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, and Liam Neeson, just to name a few actors, and I really enjoyed all of their performances in this film. There's nobody really in this film, as far as the main cast or even any of the main characters, that really is, you know, lackluster as far as their performance goes. I feel like everybody gives a solid and believable performance for this universe and for this film, and just, again, it's silly. It does not take itself seriously. You can just tell with the character designs of the aliens and all those kinds of things, it really doesn't take itself too seriously. So I think that everybody gave a really good performance for that kind of film. There is a scene early on in the film with a mother and a father that their performances just seemed a little wackadoo, like it just felt out of place with the rest of the film and the rest of the performances, but it's not really something that kind of ruined it for me. It was just something that kind of took me out of the movie for about 15 seconds, and I thought to myself, yeah, those performances and the dialogue there just was not working for me. And a part of why I really enjoyed this film is the built-in chemistry between Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. Obviously, they've worked together on Thor Ragnarok and Endgame, and I really enjoyed them as actors. I really enjoyed their chemistry that they have together, and they're very charismatic, good-looking people. They're fun to watch, they're funny at times, and I really enjoyed them together in this film. And I think it's hard to watch this and think, oh, they suck, because they don't. They're really charismatic, and they really do, you know, bounce off each other very, very well as actors, and I really did appreciate, you know, what they brought to this universe. And if they make another one, I'm interested to see where their characters go. So now to give you just a basic synopsis of the film without really getting too deep into it, the basic gist is you have Tessa Thompson's character who, as a child, encountered a whole alien situation. You know, they have the neuralizers that, you know, wipe your memory that they do in all the Men in Black films. Her parents' minds were erased, but hers was not, and yeah, that's pretty much the basic idea. She becomes obsessed with the idea of these aliens. She spends her whole life wanting to find the MIB, the Men in Black, and yeah, she ends up finding them and becomes part of the team. And I think that kind of leans into some of the negatives I have about this film, specifically when it comes to the first act, which felt incredibly rushed to me. There was just times where I just felt like, man, they just want to get Tessa Thompson to the Men in Black so that we can get this story on a roll. They didn't really have any sort of meat and potatoes for the first act. I did enjoy it. You know, again, I think it looks good. The camera work is good. The special effects are cool. But it wasn't, you know, story-wise, I just feel like they didn't really give me much to latch onto other than just watching the events unfold. And then once she's actually being trained and becoming part of the Men in Black, they actually skip through weeks of time where she's actually training. And I just hate stuff like that. Some of my favorite scenes in the first Men in Black movie are when Will Smith is just getting there. He's starting to learn all this. It's really weird to him. There's that really hilarious scene where they're all in a room and like signing this paperwork and doing like this quiz of some sort, and he's trying to like find a way to write properly. Like those moments of the awkwardness of kind of settling into the Men in Black are what I was kind of looking forward to when it comes to Tessa Thompson's character, and they completely skip over that. So that's something that's either going to be a hit or miss with some people. For me, it was a little bit of a miss. It didn't take me out of the film altogether, but I do really wish that they would have fleshed out that time of her on-screen presence a little bit more. But once the film does ramp up and she goes on this adventure with Chris Hemsworth that I will not get deep into the story about, I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good time. Again, is it a film that you need to go watch? I have AMC A-List. It literally did not cost me an extra dime other than what I already pay monthly to go watch it. So if you have an AMC near you, I think that's like the best thing you could possibly get for yourself if you want to see a lot more movies. But if you don't have that and you're not really looking to get that and you kind of just have to be a little bit more picky-choosy with your films, I do not think this is the film that you need to go see in theaters right now, but I do recommend it. I think you will enjoy it if you are a fan of sci-fi and fantasy films. I think the villain element is kind of predictable and a little bit lackluster. You won't really be gripped to that element of the story. It's really Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth that really drive this film. I really enjoyed Liam Neeson in this film as well, and some of the other returning characters from previous Men in Black films. But for the most part, this film does not really offer you some like super deep and exciting story, but it's a fun watch, and it's just an interesting, you know, different take on the Men in Black films. They do show you different sides of the Men in Black films, and there's a lot about this that's very different from the other Men in Black films, so I can praise them for that. I just do wish that the villain and the overall like narrative have been a little bit stronger. There is a section about halfway through the film where I was getting a little bit bored and pulling my phone out, and yeah, that I kind of hate when I feel that way throughout a film. I always love when you can watch a film and the movie ends. It could be like 2.5 hours to 3 hours, and you're like, wow, it didn't even feel that long. A perfect example for that would be with like Endgame this year or Toy Story 4, where I was watching those films and the runtime just flew by and it was over, and I didn't even really realize, those are the best things. The runtimes can just end and you don't even really realize how long the film has been on, and you don't really care because the film was so good. And in this case, I had a few times where I was checking my watch, I was checking what time it was. I think that it just kind of goes to show that they didn't have the strongest story to tell, but I do think the performances are really well done. I think that there's a lot of fun action here, and I'm gonna buy it when it's on like some sort of sale for Blu-ray just to add it to my collection, have it with the rest of the Men in Black films. But I do enjoy it, and I'll probably rewatch it again at some point. Maybe I'll grow to enjoy it a lot more. I think that people are shitting on this movie a lot more than it deserves. I think this movie is not getting enough credit, but I do understand it's hard because, we're in a really, really big market of movies right now. There's so many big budget films coming out so frequently. There are so many new movies coming out, and the reality of the situation is a lot of families and a lot of people in general don't have the time, money, or really interest to go and watch every single movie that comes out. Even if it's in some sort of franchise like the Men in Black that's well known and has, a fan base, it's not always going to be a film that is a necessary watch, and like I said, as far as the films that are in theaters right now, I think there are at least 4 or 5 that I'd rather suggest to other people go watch before this one if they haven't seen them. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be my review of Men in Black International. Let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I know there's been a lot of mixed reviews, and some people that I know really didn't like it, but some people I know really enjoyed it. For me, I kind of just sit like it's a good time, it's nothing crazy. Don't expect anything wild. I said, like, if you watch it on Netflix or Hulu or a Redbox rental, I think that's probably your best bet. If you find it on the Blu-ray section for like anywhere between $5 to $15 later on in the future, I think that you'll have a good time with it. I think you can enjoy it, but it's nothing crazy. It's nothing super deep. I think As far as my ranking of the Men in Black films go, I think the first one is still the best. The second one's right below it. And I say the third and fourth are about on the same level for me. There's elements of the third that I like more than this one. There was elements about this one that I liked more than the third. But I still enjoy all of them, you know, as far as them being like some sort of absolutely epic films. I don't really think any of them are. I think that they're just a good, fun watch, and I really do enjoy them. And I think this one just falls right into that line of just being a fun sci-fi fantasy watch. And if you enjoy fun visuals, these actors, and this kind of silliness, you'll have a good time with it. So thank you guys again for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. I would really appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. And I will see all of you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.